beautiful lovelies. My name is Arden, and in today's video we are doing something exciting because this is the introduction to a series that I'm gonna have on my channel. If you don't know me, I am a booktuber, a blogger, a bookstagrammer, and a Wattpad writer. So go check out my social medias down below. Subscribe to my channel, click the notification bell to keep yourself notified when I post more videos because I post pretty often. And if you're not new here, hey friends, I'm going to be starting a series reading 3 books, and every episode is gonna have a different theme. I don't know how long this is gonna last, and I don't know how often I'm gonna make it, but I have so many new ideas. I am so excited for you guys to see them. Just a time I may suggest, I am reading 3 books to see if I still feel the same way. We have 1 5-star book, 1 4-star book, and 1 3-star book. Let's enter these worlds and see if I feel the same way. We are gonna start off this video from my favorite to least favorite. And my favorite book is quite controversial, and I don't think I will feel the same way. I definitely think it's gonna be a 3-star rating. Just because I already know the ending, and I think it's the kind of book that you can only read once, that you can't really read after you know the ending. But I'm coming back to this book after years of growing as a reader and knowing that my taste has changed. So I'm very interested in seeing whether I'll still like it, and also whether I'll like the characters, because I don't think I really liked them the first time. I just rated it 5 stars because of that ending, because it was like an impulse rating, I think. So the first book that we have is We Were Liars by Lockhart. This is a very short book. I don't think there's much to say about this book other than it was very popular on BookTube. I picked it up for that reason. When I first read this book, I was crying so much. I legit think that this book scarred me in a weird way, in a way that I can't even explain. I'm so terrified of fires, and I think this is where it started. I only like contemporary books if they are hard-hitting or if they play with my emotions. The second book I'm going to be reading for this video is a 4-star rating. I don't remember when I read that book. I do remember it was during one of my summer vacations when we were in Croatia, and that's when I consumed a big amount of books, and I don't think I was able to really process it. There were a few parts that were very slow, but there were a few parts that were like, oh my god, what am I reading? Yes. I really want to see if I still like this book. Yeah, that book is Some Quiet Place by Kelsey Sutton. The cover is absolutely stunning. And the final book that I will be reading for this reading vlog is Obsidian Black by Alan Jordan. I think at the time of reading this, I just wasn't in the mood to read this book or this genre in general. I was in the mood for sci-fi, and this is what contributed to my low rating. I think that second time reading it, it's gonna have the same rating, 3 stars. That is my prediction. Just because I don't think it's gonna have 4 stars. I do reserve 4 stars for books that I loved. This book is also a book that I am going to be unhauling pretty soon. These are the books that I will be reading in this video. We Were Liars, Some Quiet Place, and Obsidian Black. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, do all those things if you haven't yet, and let's get straight into it. I'm 62 pages into this book, and I have a few notes here. First of all, I'm not gonna tell you what this book is about, not because I don't want to spoil it, but because I am very bad at explaining, and this is quite a complicated book, and I would rather you just read it yourself. I'm not eloquent enough to explain the world that was built in this. Our main love interest is a boy called Gat. Even the last time when I read this book, I didn't like him at all. Second, I really like the poetic writing style of Lockhart. A lot of people have a problem with it. I personally adore that kind of style, that metaphoric, I don't know, flowy vibe of the writing, and that is my thing. Okay, I love it. Third of all, I am noticing a lot more now that I am rereading things. The foreshadowing and little hints are perfectly sprinkled in the story so that you keep guessing what actually happened. Now that I am rereading it, things make a lot more sense. Our main girl, Cadence, also loves her dogs very much. That was established in one of the previous chapters, which makes me hurt a lot more. Another thing is that there are fairy tales told in this story that relate to our characters' reality. They will connect in the end. Currently, I'm enjoying this book. I don't know. I was expecting it to really be one of those books that you can't reread, but I think it's the ending that's gonna get me. Moving on, there is also a scene where Cadence says that they're huggy all of a sudden, that they are hugging each other, and they were never huggy, which is kind of a tell. I can't remember what character is actually involved in like the final thing, you know? I'm trying to find the words to say this without spoiling anything. If you've read this book, I hope that you know what I mean, and if you haven't read this book, I hope that you don't know what I mean. But if you're watching me read this book, I'm probably gonna spoil everything to you. Why are you even here? Unless you're not planning on reading the book, then I guess that makes sense. I mean, on the other hand, this book has been out for years and years. What are you doing not reading it if you were planning on reading it, you know? It's a 5-star read for me. Hey guys, it is my usual 12 p.m. check-in. I finished We Were Liars yesterday. I was very emotional. When I first read this book, I was 15 or 16, and I was so focused on the mystery, on figuring out what actually happened, that I didn't actually realize how many hints were in there. There was so much foreshadowing. You could easily find this out on your own if you were smart enough. I definitely think that reading this second time around was actually quite more entertaining, just because I already knew what was gonna happen and I could focus on the little details. I loved the fairy tales told in this story that related to our character and her family. The final paragraph or the final chapter was something I was really satisfied with because it brought everything to a close. I thought that this would be a 3-star rating or a 4-star rating at least, not a 5-star rating. I enjoyed its shortness especially, but I also enjoyed everything in it. I guess I'm just a hoe for We Were Liars, and that might be currently an unpopular opinion on BookTube. I went back, I reread it, and I feel the same way. And you know what? Even though my reading tastes have changed a lot, at least now I know that We Were Liars is safe. Moving on to a book that I'm going to be reading now, that is Some Quiet Place by Kelsey Sutton. Honestly, this is one of those books that I don't know what they're about because I forgot. Yesterday I opened the first page and I read Fear is Coming. And then I realized that this is about a girl who doesn't feel anything. This person can see emotions in human form. I did really enjoy it the first time I read it. I don't know why I gave it 4 stars. I hope I'm gonna enjoy it more just because I did enjoy We Were Liars more. Hi, it's nice to see you again. It's been forever, it feels like. Yesterday I decided to take a little bit of a break. Honestly, school's been having me go insane. I just needed a little bit of a break from reading and BookTube. If anyone wants to ever help me with my essays, I would be more than grateful because I have another one coming up and I don't know what I'm gonna write about, and it's been keeping me up at night. It's time for me to get back into Some Quiet Place by Kelsey Sutton. Obviously, as you can see, I've read 2 chapters. So far, it's been pretty good. I really like the overall story, the way everything's happening, and the way things are explained. I love that it's very simple to grasp. Basically, our main character doesn't feel anything, any emotion. She's unfazed by everything. And while everybody else gave up on her, Fear still keeps coming back. He keeps trying to get a reaction out of her. She wasn't born this way. Somebody must have done something to her that would make her immune to all of the emotions. Pretty interesting concept. I do remember how it ends, tiny bits of how it ends. I don't have the whole story yet. Everything in between is kind of like a blank for me. I'm also interested in discussing with you why I rated this book 4 stars, not 5, and why it's not 3 stars. And I'm curious whether or not my rating will change now that I've read more books. Here we are again, doing stuff for school. Because I didn't submit my essay yet, I wasn't able to move on with environmental science because every other module was locked. But now that I submitted my essay, I was able to take the quiz of that module, and now I moved on to module 13, air and pollution. I'm pretty excited. Like school, I love doing it. I love online school. I'm so hyped up, especially now that I did the essay. You need to have 60% to pass, and if I get 60%, I'm not gonna go back and correct it because, honey, if it's passed, it's passed. I took 2 months to write this essay. why I am sitting here with you today is to tell you that I just got my Kindle. I got my Kindle, and this is me opening it for the first time because I'm so excited. I just really needed it. I've been trying to convince myself to buy it because I am the most stingy person ever when it comes to me. I could spend 100 euros on my pets, but on me, nah. Oh my goodness, look at that. It's so small. It's tiny. And it's so light as well. I'm so excited. Oh my goodness. Here's a little tip on how to get free books if you don't have money but you still need something to read. Go on Kindle, download the Kindle app if you don't have a Kindle device. Go on your phone, download the Kindle app, and in the Kindle store, write free Kindle books and then type what you want to read. For example, free Kindle books, apocalyptic, free Kindle books, romance, free Kindle books, bad boy. And you will have free Kindle books. They are made free either because of the sale or because the author wanted you to have a free book. And a lot of authors offer the first few books for free and then the rest you have to pay if you want to continue. But it's a nice way to support indie authors or just authors in general, to try new writers and see if you like their writing, and maybe you might even find a new favorite writer. You never know. Anyway, that's how I got so many books on my phone that I can't even catch up, which is why I bought myself a Kindle, because I have too many books. A lot of them are nonfiction historical books. Then I have a lot of apocalyptic books. Diseases are my favorite, which is such an inappropriate thing to say when we basically live in an apocalyptic world. I know that my progress is very slow, and it's not because this is a bad book. I am just reading something on my Kindle. It's a fluffy contemporary YA. I want to mention a few things now that I am rereading this book. In the 3 years since reading this book, I have grown a lot, and I noticed certain themes and certain pieces of wisdom that take me aback, because the author shares such simple truths with us, and I love that about it. Apart from that, Some Quiet Place also discusses some of the heavier topics. Since our character is so emotionless, she observes everybody else and she is in her own little bubble, and she just comments on everybody else and has a way of understanding them and where they are coming from. So for instance, there is this guy Joshua, and he likes our main character because she sees emotions. She knows she is the receiver of the emotion. On the other hand, we also have this girl who likes to bully her. She likes this boy, Joshua, but the boy doesn't like her back. The boy likes our main character. And I guess in a way, from what I've observed, I think she feels invisible. That's why she's picking on Elizabeth, our main character. In this situation, she has some control over it. She can do something, and she takes her anger out on Elizabeth. And there's a lot of things discussed in this book, such as autism. Let me explain something else. Elizabeth hasn't always been so empty and void of life. Something happened, and one day she stopped being loud, she stopped being happy, she stopped being a child, and she just was. She just existed. She didn't feel anything. But as she grew up, she started to learn the ways of the humans and started to pretend. Her parents always knew that something was wrong, that this was not their daughter, and they started arguing. Her father started drinking more, her mother started resenting her more, and her father started becoming abusive. Elizabeth also has a brother. Charles likes to ignore the situation. He likes to pretend nothing is happening. What I find interesting is that Charles, the favorite child, obviously, because nobody likes Elizabeth, when Charles screws up, he actually tries to talk to Elizabeth so that the spotlight is on her, so that the father will forget about Charles, who is his favorite. He would rather take his anger out on Elizabeth, even though it's Charles who screwed up. Elizabeth is smart. She knows how to act. So in the end, who gets screwed over? The mom. I know this sounds bad, but I think Elizabeth kind of redeemed herself when the next day she came to her mom and she tried to help her, but her mom was like, no, leave me alone, blah, blah, blah. But then the dad came home and it was clear he was drunk. Her mom changed her mind and she said, help me, help me. And so Elizabeth came downstairs and intentionally taunted the dad so that he would take his anger out on Elizabeth and forget about the mom who was already, beaten up. And the only person who gets out of this unscathed is who? Charles. I want to like Charles because he is also suffering. This is his way of coping. Nobody in this family is innocent. Anyway, That's what's happened so far in 5 chapters. I'm on chapter 6 right now. This book is very slow compared to We Were Liars. I'm 100 pages in. It is slow because it is so detailed and it has such a beautiful writing style. I know that this progress is slow. This book is having me go through a lot of emotions. I'm just processing it all. And going back to We Were Liars, there is something I forgot to mention when I was talking about it. I don't like the characters in this book. I didn't particularly like them. There was nobody special that stood out to me. Nobody that I had a soft spot for. No characters that particularly stood out to me. I didn't care for the characters, yet the emotion it woke up within me and it brought out to the surface is the reason why it's 5 stars. Hey guys, my hair is getting a little bit long, so I had to pin it back. And I'm kind of digging the look. It's a little bit girly. It took me a long time to finish this book. And the last time I read it, it only took me like 2 days. I have some thoughts. I don't know where to start. I guess let's start with the fact that this was very slow paced this time around. Now, unlike We Were Liars, I don't think this is a book that I can reread. It's not as interesting as the first time I read it. The first time I read it, I loved it. I gave it 4 stars. The ending did kind of confuse me a little bit. The second time I read it, I was clear on everything that happened. I understood the ending, but I didn't like the characters. I didn't connect with them. There was something about it that was off for me. Now, if the pacing was fixed and it was a shorter read, I think this book would be fine. However, there are a lot of aspects of it that I loved. I love that it talks about domestic violence, which is a heavy topic. I love that it talks about cancer. There is a book that is autistic.
There is a book that is autistic. There is a book that is autistic.
It is a heavier book in a lot of ways. I feel like the timing was a little bit off for me. Didn't vibe with it. So this time I gave it 3 stars. I lowered my rating. I wish I could get into it a little bit more, but I don't really have any opinion on it. I'm happy I read it. While I was reading this book, I also finished 2 other books. So that's why it took me a long time, because I was reading other books as well and my attention was elsewhere. The writing style was beautiful. Kelsey Sutton is a great writer. I liked Charles in the end and I wish there was some sort of closure with him. The ending is so open. I just want more, you know? I feel like this book is I feel like in this book I feel like throughout this book the tensions are rising and we are supposed to get to that climax, I guess. I don't know, that big thing that happens. The way the story was written, that big thing isn't really that big thing, or it's disguised as a big thing, but it's actually something else. There is a shock, there is a twist, and the threat to our main character isn't the focus of the story. It helps drive our main character to her own conclusion, to where she is supposed to be. It's interesting to see how my reading taste has changed. Like I said, I lowered this book's rating from 4 stars to 3 stars. And now we have the 3-star book, Obsidian Black. And I already started it. I am 4 chapters in out of 70 chapters. They're very short, so I might be able to read this one very fast. But the last time I read it, I stopped on page 100, and then it took me a month again to pick it up. I wasn't that interested. But right now when I'm reading it, like with every other book, I'm noticing more things. I'm definitely being more open-minded because I want to give this book a fair shot. Just like with Some Quiet Place, I want to see where my reading taste takes me. And I want to be very mindful of not letting my past judgments affect my rating right now. Just like with all of these books, I want to have a fair reread to see my rating now. If I seem tired, I apologize. I was up until 2 a.m. last night trying to finish the last 200 pages of this book. And this book is like 320 pages long, so I read 2/3 of it just so that we can put this video to somewhat of a close. Look, I'm reading 3 books. Each book is 1/3 of the video, and we started on the right foot. The first book, We Were Liars, I read in 1 day, in a couple of hours. I have a fly flying here somewhere, ruining my video. This one took me almost, 2 weeks? Was it 2 weeks? A week? I don't know. Anyway, that happened. And now I'm reading Obsidian Black. So I hope this one goes faster, because I don't have enough time to read this one. I'm supposed to start my Olympic Games readathon TBR in June. So We have 1 week left to finish this book, and I hope I don't get into a reading slump, because that would be bad. I need to finish it before June. Challenge accepted. Hopefully. Not gonna lie, at this point in time and so far into the video, I genuinely think that I cannot predict my ratings anymore. For We Were Liars, I thought upon rereading it that it would be a 3-star rating. It ended up being a 5-star rating. For Some Quiet Place, I quietly predicted that it was gonna be a 4-star rating or 4.5, but I didn't expect to lower my rating. Now for this one, I don't expect it to go up, I don't expect it to go down. I think it's gonna be a 3-star rating. This is not my usual genre, but I think I'm gonna enjoy it more than I did the first time. Ready to be surprised, because we all know how my first 2 predictions went. Before we continue, comment down below what you think is gonna be my rating. It is almost midnight and I did it. I read the last book on this list, Obsidian Black by Alan Jordan. This is the second time I read this book, and this time it was far more enjoyable than the first time. I really liked it. It is so fast-paced. It has a plot twist that I didn't expect. It has like 2 or 3 plot twists. So what happened with this book is our main character, he has been a lab rat in this British secret operation facility. On the day that this book starts, they are running an experiment, and the minister and a general come to watch this experiment where Obsidian Black shows them their power, and things go wrong because he ends up connecting to a black hole, and he escapes the facility with the person who's running this like experiment, the professor. He has an assistant who helps Obsidian Black escape, and she's like kind of like an older woman. But the thing that bothers me about this book is that he is 16 and she's like older. I don't know how old she is. I don't think that was mentioned. But that bothers me because they kissed and they have like this attraction to each other. And I get that in UK the age of consent is 16, but still at the same time it kind of bothers me. The only romantic thing in this book is the kiss. And yeah, basically he starts turning into this black hole, and he is linked to the power of the universe, I guess, and he's super powerful, and people are chasing after him. I feel attached to this book. Okay, so yesterday I talked about Obsidian Black when I finally finished it. But today I want to sit down and do an overview of all the books that I read in this vlog. Let's start with We Were Liars. The first time I read it, it was a 5-star rating. This time my prediction was 3 stars and it ended up being 5 stars. The writing was beautiful, the plot was okay, the characters were lacking, but the fact that it managed to bring out my emotions despite me hating the characters, now that's where I think We Were Liars really won. Some Quiet Place, this was initially a 4-star rating. I thought it was gonna be a 4.5 this time, maybe that I would like it a little bit more, but it ended up being a 3-star rating, so I was wrong with this one too. The thing that bothered me was the slow pacing. It was something that I am not currently into. All the stories that I've been reading, I needed to progress at a rapid pace. I still think it's very beautifully written, but I don't think it's the kind of book that I was into right now, so it ended up being a 3-star. And the last book that we have is Obsidian Black. This book surprised me the most out of all of them. The first time I read it, it was a 1-star rating that I bumped up to 3 stars because I felt bad, because I just wasn't in the mood, and for some reason I rated it 1 star even though it's not that bad at all. My prediction was that it was gonna stay a 3-star rating because I knew I wasn't in the mood again for this book, but I still gave it a fair shot and I ended up raising it to 4 stars. So here I was wrong yet again. Obsidian Black was so entertaining. It was exactly what I needed right now. It was such a fast-paced book. I couldn't keep up. Every single chapter was so fast-paced. It was told from multiple point of views. It follows a boy who is a telepath who has these powers and was able to link himself with a black hole, and you know, he was able to do some freaky stuff. I loved it this time around for some reason. Did not expect to like it. So You know when I said in my book unhaul video that I'm gonna unhaul this book? I think I'm keeping it this time because it's a small book, it's a 2-hour read, and it was a nice read. That concludes this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope that you got some new book recommendations, or at least a taste test. If you've read any of these books, if you agree, if you don't agree, at least now we know where we match and where we don't. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe to my channel, click the notification bell to keep yourself notified when I post more videos, because I post pretty often. And June is gonna be exciting because I am doing the Olympic Games readathon, where I read books for House Poseidon. I'm so excited. Yeah, this is where I leave you. This video was long enough, and I'm gonna talk to you next time.